afternoon, Harrys. Wow, what a beautiful crowd. Great to see you all. And thanks for coming to the Harvest Ball. I'm Dr. Dustin Sulac. I'm an osteopathic physician. I'll just do a quick introduction for those of you who don't know me. My career has been swept away by this medical cannabis phenomenon that's moving through our culture and our society. And I've been so blessed to be able to be here with this community, to be part in the recovery of cannabis as a staple medicine and a health, an aspect of health for our whole community. So what I'd love to share with you today is just what's been on my mind lately and how that can prepare us to get through this next wonderful winter in Maine. I woke up this morning and I was really reminded about what's coming. And last week with the equinox, we had the equal amount of daytime and night, and right around that time we had this wonderful lunar eclipse with the red moon. And what I've been reminded here is this precious moment of balance that comes to us a couple times a year, and often internally in our own selves, where we see the light and the dark together, and we can be comfortable with both together. And that really gives us the ability to not judge one as being good or one as being bad, but just realizing that this reciprocal relationship between light and dark kind of governs our life and our experience and how much we enjoy it. And I was reminded of suffering and joy. And so often when we're feeling suffering, we kind of wish that we could experience some more joy, and we can do both at the same time. And that's the key I've seen in some of my patients who I consider the healthiest and the most capable of living life to the fullest, is really being able to experience that suffering and joy together. Same with fear and love. And that's usually when we need love the most, is when we feel the fear. And these two things can also coexist. There's sometimes that third path. We get so stuck in this polarized light or dark, fear or love, or joy or suffering, and we can really take that middle road. And I think same with sorrow and beauty. You know, some of the most beautiful things that I've seen in my life are actually quite sorrowful, or it's a story or an experience that includes great suffering or sorrow, and that kind of light that shines through it. That's what's so beautiful. We have this example of it in the sky right now. Beautiful natural clouds today. So allow this moment of last week and this week to kind of roll with you into winter, because we're getting ready for the dark time of year here. And I think it'll really help us all to remember that no matter how much darkness there is, or cold, or pain, or suffering, that we can also experience that light. It is always there every moment, and it's often just knocking at our door so gently that we barely even hear it and realize that it's right there. We don't have to do anything to find it. We don't have to achieve anything or get anything right or to even practice. All we have to do is just say, come on in a really gentle voice, and that light can come right in to the midst of our suffering. So that's something to take with you into winter here through this beautiful fall. But also I've got some other practical tips too. And the biggest one that I recommend to almost all of my patients and to all of you is vitamin D. Vitamin D is such a simple thing. It's got to be the most cost-effective way for us all to promote our health during the winter months in Maine, to reduce colds and flus, to improve energy, to improve mood, to protect our hearts, our bones, to lower inflammation, to decrease pain. Vitamin D is just incredible stuff, and it's free all summer long. You make it by being outside in the sun. And when the sun strikes your skin, it converts a pro-vitamin D into vitamin D, and then that's absorbed from the skin into the blood. And it circulates through the blood and does all these wonderful things in your body. Humans really need to produce it. Without the sun, we can't make our own. Vitamin D is incredibly inexpensive, just pennies a day. The average dose that every adult can use safely is 5,000 units a day. You could do 6,000, you could do 8 or 10 even, and that would be safe too. Kids do great with 1 or 2,000 units of vitamin D3 a day. And the D3 comes from wool, because the sheep are outside, they make that same provitamin D, and the sunlight hits it, and then when we clean the wool, we can get the vitamin D out. If any of you go to a regular doctor and they prescribe vitamin D for you and you get it filled behind the counter, that's not really the real vitamin D, and it actually doesn't work. So it's better to buy it over the counter. In our offices in Manchester and Falmouth, we sell a bottle for $20. It's a year's supply for an adult. So that's the story. If you're thinking, I want to do something really good for myself, something that'll be easy for me to do and really affordable, that's going to keep me functioning optimally through the winter, this is number one, vitamin D. 5,000 units a day for an adult. And there's some other good things too. I got some other recommendations. With the vitamin D, there's another wonderful mineral called magnesium that's abundant in nature, but not so much in the soil and our food supply, at least not as much as it used to be. And magnesium is also just one of these very basic aspects of life that can do so much for so many people. I see patients that have a lot of pain, both muscular pain and joint issues, do great when they start taking magnesium. Everything softens up because it's a natural muscle relaxant. It's also great for the bones. It's good for anxiety and stress. It's very relaxing, helps the adrenals produce the hormones that give us resilience to stress. So magnesium's great, and probably the best dietary source of it is pumpkin seeds. So that makes a lot of sense, because now we've got the pumpkins coming up, and eat those pumpkin seeds for sure. But also some people do really well taking supplemental magnesium. A great way to supplement with it, if you've got a good bathtub and a good boiler at your house, is to fill the tub with hot water and pour Epsom salts in there. Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate. And if you soak in those Epsom salts, it feels amazing. It's really healthy. The magnesium goes in through your skin, into the muscles. People report that their skin gets healthier, itching goes away, rashes get better, their muscles feel loose. I personally love it. So think about the vitamin D and the magnesium, because they go really well together. Vitamin D helps us absorb magnesium, and it also takes the magnesium and drives it into the bones to make stronger bones that are more resilient. We'll talk a little bit more about bones toward the end here. But if you're using the magnesium for your bones and you don't have enough, then your muscles might run out, and you may notice getting some tense muscles, and taking some magnesium or soaking in the Epsom salts, that'll relax that right up. So those are two good recommendations, inexpensive ways to stay healthy in the winter. Give them a try. One more is cultured food. So a lot of us have just gotten everything out of our gardens that was left because the cold nights are coming. And sometimes we wonder what to do with all of these great vegetables that are all around. Or maybe you have a farm share or CSA that you support, which is a great thing that I recommend doing. So by culturing the foods, we allow all these beneficial bacteria to grow on them, and it preserves them for the winter. We can eat them all winter long. It's just another common practice. Everyone out here probably says, yeah, my family's been doing that for decades or generations, and that's great. Just remember, you can take a bucket of salt water, it could have some vinegar in it and some spices. You can just let the airborne bacteria from your kitchen kind of settle on that. As long as the veggies are under the water, slowly they'll start to ferment. You can read about it. There's all sorts of different recipes, but it's kind of hard to get it wrong if you know the basics. And the more that you ferment something in one space, say it's on the counter in the corner of your kitchen, all that bacteria will actually be coming out of the thing that you're fermenting, and it'll start to cover the walls and the ceilings, and that's really good. Then the next time you go to make your pickles or your sauerkraut or whatever it is that you're making, it'll work faster. You're generating a factory. Now all of those little bacteria are so healthy for us. We're like their farm. They're our farmers. They live on us. They live in our gut. They live in our skin, and they really help us. It's a basic part of how we relate to nature. One of the most the least obvious, but the biggest ways that we relate to nature is that interface with the bacteria that live on us. just like plants need the fungus on their roots to absorb the nutrients from the soil, we need the bacteria in our guts to absorb the nutrients from our food. And when we eat things that we might not do intentionally, like GMOs if we go out to eat or get something not from a nice farm, you know, something more commercial, those GMOs are pesticides. They kill bacteria in our gut. Same